not a bit of a gamble doing a direct suggestion that spiders are cute and they can resist it and they're not cute?
Well, why? Sorry, they're hypnotised.
Well,
If you
yeah.
believe the line that says you will resist any suggestions that you don't like, then you have a problem with that. But in my practice, resistance of suggestions on the basis that you don't like it isn't really an issue. That's not part of my map of the world.
Resistance is futile.
No, it's not that really. No, I just
Yeah.
it's like there are lots of different ways of looking at it. A lot of people think that the subconscious can't process negatives. Of course it can. And the idea that it can't is just stuff that gets taught by the same people who then go and teach you have no desire to smoke, as though that's not a negative that they're asking the subconscious to process. So in hypnosis, your reality is what I tell you it is. Therefore, the first rule must be choose your hypnotist carefully, because it is not the case, in my experience over the last 16 years, that an individual will reject suggestions on the basis of the activity of a critical sensor which you're supposed to have been bypassing when you hypnotise them in the first place. That's the point of hypnosis, isn't it? To be able to get past that critical sensor. Now, if it isn't the critical sensor that's working, if that's been bypassed...
But is there a, you say, it's almost like a flaw, conscious, unconscious, but maybe they...
Oh, it's much more complicated than that.
Like that.
It is much more complicated than that. So when people talk about a suspension of consciousness, well, no, that isn't the case. I mean, sometimes, I know that there are lots of hypnotherapy sites where the FAQs will say, you're conscious of everything that happens. You're always conscious of everything that happens. You're always aware. Well, maybe and maybe not. In fact, definitely maybe not, because...
So when you say you're properly hypnotised, it's grades of it. So that's why I'm saying you're taking a gamble. If maybe you're not.
No, where's the gamble?
Unless you're, obviously, you are confident.
Where's the gamble? Where's the gamble in saying spiders are cute?
They don't believe it.
In hypnosis, with a good hypnotist who's properly hypnotised, I'm not talking about somebody that's relaxed, who has all their conscious faculties still.
Yeah.
In hypnosis, if I hypnotise you and then say, when I clap my hands, you can open your eyes and be able to talk, but you'll be 10 times deep hypnotised than you are at the moment. So you're in deep hypnosis, you're hypnotised, right? And then I say to you, in this room, now, like this, when I clap my hands, it's pitch black in here. Your pupils will dilate to let more light in. Because you're now running your internal representation. And this really, really happens. I've done it many times. Your brain is now running the model. Your reality is it's pitch black in here. And all the unconscious stuff that flows as a logical consequence of that flows. And because you are now living pitch black in here, your pupils will dilate to let more light in. It's got nothing to do with whether you want to accept the suggestion or don't want to accept the suggestion. It just isn't anything to do with it. In the same way, you know the glove anaesthesia thing that's often talked about, where you tell somebody that their hand's in a bucket of cold, you strap a temperature gauge sensor on the person's finger, and then say, imagine your hand's in a bucket of cold water, and you watch the temperature go down. You say, whoopee, there's hypnosis. You know, you're telling them their hand's in a bucket of cold water, and lo and behold, it's getting colder and colder and colder. When the temperature goes down, you're proving that they're using their imagination, but they're not hypnotised. If you're proving they're not hypnotised, and I'll try to explain why. When you hypnotise somebody, and say your hand's in a bucket of cold water, unconsciously, just like it will dilate your pupils when you say it's pitch black in here, unconsciously, your body then acts as though your hand is in a bucket of cold water. So what does it do? It opens up the capillaries and sends more blood down to your hand to warm it up because it's in a bucket of cold water. Because your reality is the hand is cold, and therefore it sends more blood to heat it up. Now, the temperature sensor, the thermometer, isn't hypnotized. It knows there is no cold water there. All it knows is there's more blood in the area. The hand's got hotter. So the temperature actually goes up when the person is hypnotized, not down. It goes up, and the same is true in reverse, obviously. If you then tell them it's in a bucket of hot water, the cardiovascular system pulls the blood out of the extremity to cool it down, and the temperature in the hand drops. But if the person is just doing imagination, like, you know, buckets and that, imagination, then, yeah, hot water will go up and cold water will go down. But it's different. And that's the kind of point that I labour over again and again. If all you're doing is close your eyes, relax your toes, relax your knees, relax your elbows, think beautiful thoughts, if you're doing progressive relaxation and not hypnotism, then yes, people will be aware of everything you say all of the time. And sometimes when you hypnotise them, they will, unless you deliberately try to install some kind of amnesia. But in hypnosis, you get spontaneous amnesia. I woke somebody up earlier this week. We were doing, complicated stuff, not really about any particular presenting symptom, but I was going over and over with him that he had to go forward from a position of strength. And when I woke him up, he said, yeah, all made sense. Got all of that, heard everything he said, it was really good. I said, so you understand what I mean by going forward from a position of strength? And he said, what? Now, he hadn't been asleep. I'd had ideomotor responses going on through the whole thing. He wasn't asleep. He had no idea that I'd been talking about going forward from a position of strength. Just didn't know.